Welcome to Dwarf Fortress. My name is DasTactic. This is episode 56. Wow, we're miles and miles into this particular series now. I'm having a ball actually doing it. Actually, it's good fun. And we've got a fair number of people in the fortress. It's probably getting a little bit much for managing and then trying to still explain how to do things because there's so much stuff that's now going on all the time. There's a few things I need to correct. Actually, I've made some mistakes with a couple of the approaches that I've actually had with the game, and I just wanted to go through those. The first one I wanted to go through was my Marks Dwarfs. If we have a bit of a look at these guys, the bolts of burning. When we have a look at any of these guys, like this one is this is Dukem, one of the peasants in through here. He's got no job. He's off duty at the moment. And if we have a look at his items, what we sort of find is he's got everything that we want of him. He's carrying around some barley wine. He's got some plump helmets and a quarry bush leaf biscuit there to eat, so he can sort of in his backpack. So you can see here he's got things actually inside different other items. The one thing that's missing from here is that there's no bolts. Now, I did mention this in episode 50 that I thought that they would actually just replenish these over time. I'm wrong about that. Now, I hope that by the time you're watching this that the game has actually been patched and fixed, because this is technically a bug where they'll equip everything that they require to have a Marks Dwarf uniform except the bolts, given a certain circumstance. Now, that circumstance is if you create the squad using a melee designation and then change that designation into a range designation, you'll get everything except for the actual for the bolts inside here. So you need to actually have the uniform ready before you create the group, which is a bit of a pain in the bum, to be honest. So anyway, that's actually what's actually happening in through this side. Everything else looks good except for the lack of bolts, and of course if you've got a ranged group, then that's pretty important. So that's actually what the problem is. Now, there's a few things that it could have also been. I'll just go through those as well. We've got like a whole lot of these are bins full of ammo. So we've got like iron bolts down through here. Now, the game actually reserves 100 bolts. Like the first 100 bolts are reserved for your hunters, and so as long as you've got more than 100 bolts, which we do have, we've got 25. There's 100 there, just out of those 4 groups of iron bolts. Then the game is satisfied that you've actually got what you need. So the first 100 bolts are reserved for hunters, but then after that, it's okay. So we certainly have enough bolts for our military. They just didn't go and pick them up because of this other bug. So we need to fix that. That's one thing I needed to talk about, so I'll talk about that in just a minute. The other thing that I need to go and fix is, or to talk about, was if I go Shift F1, I was trying to, I couldn't figure out why this wasn't draining away. Because normally with an aquifer, the aquifer absorbs the water, and I think I've spoken about this a few times actually. The aquifer will actually not just give water in, but it will actually absorb the water back out as well. Unfortunately, that's not true. So sorry about that misinformation. It's true of a heavy aquifer, but not of a light aquifer. Light aquifers don't absorb, and so we're going to have to do something different here as well. Now, I probably won't do that in this episode. I want this episode to be focused mainly on squads, and not just our ranged squads, but also setting up like an actual full-blown melee squad. Now we want to sort of get ready for the attacks. I might even show you how to min-max that a little bit with things, for example, like Dwarf Therapist, which will help us to sort of make selections. So maybe I'll do that. Like this will be a bit more extended than what we've been doing so far. So I won't go overboard with it, but this way at least we can sort of then just go and check what's going on. Let's first of all go and fix the problem that we actually have with the other guys. If I just go back up to F3 and have a bit of a look through here, I think I might just sort of start in around this side. So with the bolts of burning, unfortunately the only thing I can really do with this is to start from scratch with them. And so because I set it up initially assigning a metal uniform, in fact, what I did, just to go back and recap this, when I went to the equipment and assigned uniform, I started off with metal armor. Now, metal armor is a melee uniform, and that was the mistake. So I started off with that one and then went and adapted it into a ranged uniform, into the Iron Archer. And you can see that they've all been assigned the Iron Archer uniform. And so that is now technically a ranged uniform, but they were created using the metal armor, and that's when they actually, it's at the point of creation. At this point in time, I am hopeful that this will actually change fairly soon, but at this point in time, that is the problem, is that at creation I used a melee uniform, which means it doesn't reserve any bolts, even though when it does sort of come through, you can see there's no bolts assigned to any of these. That's the big problem in through there. So the only real way around this, unfortunately, is even though I've actually assigned it with a ranged uniform, I've got to start again with the squad. So we've got Coolit is the person in charge. I'll just go back out. We'll just go and right click on those. With that one selected, I'm just going to disband the squad. So I've got to go all the way back to this. And I now have to go and create a new squad. So I'll just go back in. So I'll use Coolit again. So Militia Captain Squad Coolit into this side. And I now assign the ranged uniform. So some people have actually had problems where they didn't know that, like some people just get rid of the archer uniform, which is a leather, like they wear leather. And I didn't want it, I want them wearing metal. If you've already gotten rid of this one, because you can get rid of it from the current game that you're playing, if you've got rid of it but you've already gone and built a new archer uniform, that's fine, as long as you've got an archer uniform to go with. So Iron Archer is actually the same uniform that they've got, not a problem, we just throw that one in there. But we now have to sort of go and start with everything else. So I'm just going to go and change the symbol. I'll just make it that sort of up arrow. Where is it? I'm just going to rename the squad, so just the bolts of burning. I'll call it the same thing. I've got sort of the same in through this side as well. Now the routine, we want to also make sure that these are set to ready. So I'll just go through the whole rigmarole of. Now we wanted to have also the magma patrol was what we wanted to have active for what they actually then go and do. So it's going to be so the routine will be magma patrol, or I can just do ready. Actually, no, I'll do magma patrol because I do want them to do this one. So that one's done, because we did set one up in episode 50. So if you want to sort of see how that was done, then by all means have a look at that one. This is just gives us an order to patrol down around, again, another mistake of mine by building directly over the lava sea. I should have actually protected that by putting it into other areas. I didn't realise that the magma forges no longer had protection, where now things can just crawl straight back out. So we do need to keep a military group down there the whole time. Right, so that one's done. So we've got that one. The equipment was done, as I say, with the Iron Archer. We just, yep, that's fine where that is. So he's now just going to go and go through everything again and just sort of reacquaint himself with all of those different bits and pieces. So that's the Magma Patrol, no special orders. Yeah, routine is okay. That's pretty good. So now we just go back into the actual positions and just go and get ourselves the others that were there. Right, so I've just gone and added basically the same people that were in there before. Just go back to the squads, just check their equipment again. We should now see Iron Archer, where they're just going to go back and reset the whole lot. So that's okay. We'll just let them do that. In the meantime, I will go through how you can use Dwarf Therapist to help you make decisions about your military. And we're going to now go back to the Passionate Rocks. And if we have a look and see what they've got, like if we just unclick that one, click on this one, go to equipment, we can sort of see these ones are just ready to go, which basically means don't get anything special. But we do want to get these geared up. Now, I'm probably going to get rid of a fair few of these. You can see all they've got is one weapon and nothing else, because in the very start of the fortress, that's all we could actually sort of go and do. So what I think I'll do is actually go and get rid of most of the people that we have in here and start again. And so I'm going to open up Dwarf Therapist. This is, so I think I showed you this the other day, where you can actually download a test version at this point in time, but there will be a version you can then go and use. And I would, like, if you're wanting to min-max things, definitely it's a very, very good program, like in that sort of sense, where you can really finesse and sort of see how things actually work. I'm sort of in two minds as to whether to show that or not, for the simple reason that part of the fun of Dwarf Fortress, or part of the way I'm wanting to promote this run, is to not min-max things, because you can have just as much fun by just having fun with the actual game itself. So I really am a bit torn as to whether to actually show this or not, but I think I will show it just in case you are wanting to do it. But by all means, just go with the flow if you're sort of wanting to do other things. You'll notice that most of my guys have got like the axes and things like this. So these are already axe dwarves to a degree. These are mainly going to be our woodcutters and sometimes our miners, things like things along those sorts of lines would have been what we would have formed with the initial squad. But we no longer really need that anymore. So now we did set up they've got metal armor as one of the things that we actually had allocated. Now I'm going to, look, this will be a melee squad. Now I'll come back to that one. Just let me open up Dwarf Therapist. Okay, so here's our fortress. My head's unfortunately in the way of a few of the names, but I'll try to remember to sort of mainly talk from the top of the screen, just so that you're not I'm not sort of covering up the important information. Now, the first screen is all your labours. So, and what it does is it sort of has a range between basically nothing through to 0, then up to 1. So 1 basically means that it's just starting to get the experience as they sort of rise up until they get up to level 20. So level 20 through here, you can see there 35,000 experience in this case for Asmal as a stone crafter. And so Asmal is a master crafter, essentially, so legendary. If we just go and hover over the name, we'll sort of see there legendary +5 stone crafter, and the experience levels back in through there. Now, the same thing actually happens with the military. Now, there's a few things in the military that you need to be aware of. There's the ability to actually use the weaponry, that's one thing, but also the ability to then impart information if you're trying to teach others, and also the ability to learn information as well. So they're the different aspects that you're looking for. Now, the game purposely doesn't really sort of go into too much of that sort of detail, because otherwise you're just min-maxing the whole time. But Dwarf Therapist does allow you to see this. And this is even without the spoilers turned on. So if I go to the military tab, I can then actually have a look and see that it's got all sorts of different things in through here. Like, for example, we have the basic skill sets in through here, from Axe Dwarf, Hammer Dwarf, whatever we might actually want to have. And so if we're looking for Marks Dwarfs, there should be, where's their Marks Dwarfs? Actually, that's melee through there. There's Marks Dwarf there. If I go and click on that one, I'm going to get my best Marks Dwarves in the fortress showing up. In this case, I've got Della, Udib, and Vabok, which I've got a funny feeling may already be as part of the. Actually, no, not all of these are in the military, because Vabok is my diagnostician, and so she's more important in her current role. But what we can have a look at is we can start to get a bit of a feel and have a look. Okay, well, these are fairly high-level Marks Dwarves. There are also other things, like, for example, like you can see their native strength. Like Udib is not very strong at all. Not very important for a Marks Dwarf, but is important for a melee dwarf. Agility is low through this case as well. Toughness is up there, but everything else is pretty much below par in through there. So ideally what you want is you want to have at least some skills in the melee type thing, or whichever you're trying to sort of deck out, whether it be ranged or melee, but with some natural skills as well. Plus also, this is their skill set. Like, for example, if we look at Della's a very, very good candidate in through here. We can sort of see it's a skilled pump operator. Doesn't really mean much, but a competent bowman, competent maceman, competent crossbowman. So this particular individual can do a lot of different things. It's already got some competency in that regard. And then as we go back down, it's a novice a shield user, novice armor user down near the bottom there. And as they train, the more that they actually train in these things, the better they become using them as well. So the more they're either in combat or training, it just increases their skill level up through the ranks. Where Dwarf Therapist is good is that it basically will tell you the actual raw numbers, and you can then search to find out, okay, well, who would be a great one to have as our commander. And so if we have a look at the teachers, for example, we can see there that there's not really a great degree. Like Einod Green Thumb is actually the highest of the teacher levels back in through here, but really there's not much difference between most of the actual people that are actually in there anyway. Now, who's this person? This one is the messenger. Okay, the noble position is the messenger. I'm not going to be too concerned about min-maxing that. I mean, probably we don't want to be choosing our people from the ones at the lower end of teacher, but student as well. Like student, how quickly is someone going to learn? We've actually got some very, very good people for learning. Like Limel in through here is very good at learning, and so these would actually pick up the military tasks very, very quickly if we wanted to sort of make use of these people. In fact, when we look at these, armor user is high, shield user is high. We've got a few in here that are also good at strength back and through this side as well. So we probably want to avoid Udib in this case because of the low strength if we're sort of putting together a melee squad. Wow, I've got Rovod in through here, and she has got a strength of 93. Her agility is very low, but her actual brute strength is she's mighty. Like that's actually what it's considering her, but her agility is low, so she's got low agility. Toughness is high as well, but she is considered to be. I wonder if she's the strongest in the fortress. I know we've got a 94. We've got Ubel in through this side as well, who's got a 94 but very, very poor agility, so quite clumsy, as you can sort of see through there. And so it then just goes through, so it's a matter if you are wanting to min-max, and I'm not going to min-max in the game, but if you are wanting to, this can be a really, really good way of actually having a bit of a look at that, if you're interested. I thought I'd actually just cover it, but I'm not going to use this. I'm just for the sake of showing you how to do it. You can actually use this to then really finesse who goes into your squads. But as I say, I'm not really interested in doing that one. I don't want to be min-maxing my actual playthrough. So I'll go back to the game. So what we have to do now, it's time for us to upgrade the Passionate Rocks. And these were essentially our initial squad. If anything went wrong, we had to then bring them in and get them working. Now, I do want to have a dedicated squad through here. So I think I'm just going to go through and have a bit of a look at each of these. Who is this person? Yeah, I think what I want to do is actually maybe just get rid of everyone and start again, because we've never really used them to do anything at all. We didn't require them to put on equipment. We didn't actually need anything happening through this side. I'm going to keep Tool on at the top there, but let's just go and remove the different assignments. I might keep Green Thumb. Actually, was one of the better of the recruits from what I remember in what we were looking at there. One thing, if you are min-maxing as well, you may want to avoid putting females in your squads, because they may have babies, and particularly in your melee squads, they will then take the babies into the fight. So that's one thing you may want to keep into the back of your mind as well. I'm not really going to worry about that. I'm just going to go with things. I think I'll keep Green Thumb in the actual group itself. So we've got Toulon in through here, who is our captain of the guard. Was assigned a position. Actually, not captain of the guard. He's our what is he? Actually, let's just go and have a bit of a look and see. So if we have a look at the actual nobility, Toulon is militia commander. So he's actually the initial commander of the militia of our fortress, and so that's his role in through there. So I can't really remove him from that role. So even if he's a poor commander, I mean, I can change him over and have somebody else take the role. But in this case, I'm not going to. Again, I'm not really into the min-maxing. And I think I do want to fill this one up, but I don't want to use anyone that's actually got any sort of skills. All I want to do here in this instance is just go to anybody that's either got, like we've got a messenger through here. So Zuglar is a competent swords dwarf who is also the messenger. I'm going to put Zuglar in the group. We'll go and keep on assigning more positions. And so I'm just, competent pikes dwarf. This is a woodcutter. I mean, any sort of skills is going to help. We've got the Baroness. I don't want to put the Baroness into the actual group, so I'll keep the Baroness out of this one. We've got a farmer there. If we've only got like one or two of something, there's another farmer there, a competent mace dwarf. I'll go with the male for the simple reason again that that may be okay. So let's just go across that side, bring the farmer in. Now we don't want to get anyone from any of the other squads, so I'm just looking for anything that's. We've got a competent spear dwarf in through there. This is a trapper. Trappers are not really important for us in the grand scheme of the thing. We've got a few planters as well. Yeah, look, I've got 3 of them. So in that case, I'll just go and grab one of these. Again, I'll err on the side of the males, just so that they don't bring females into the fight. And I'm going to be training these people up anyway. Clothier, I want to keep. There's more planters as well. Carpenters, miners, peasants. Yep, Udil can go in. Again, I'm not sure how strong any of these people actually are. I'll tend to go back down to more of the peasants at the bottom of the fortress and through here. Now, the one I want to make sure that I don't pick is the vampire. So I'm going to set the vampire up in her own squad. Again, I'm just going to err on the side. I've got a couple of females in here, but mainly males. And so another peasant there. Sibrek. Okay, so that's actually going to be our squad. So we're going to go back to the squads and through this side. And with them selected, I'm now going to go to the equipment. And I'm going to go and assign a uniform. Now I'm going to have a look at metal armor. So I'm going to start with this one through here. And then I'm just going to go and go to the details and have a bit of a look. So it's saying it's very, very nondescript, and that's not good enough for me. I want this to be very, very explicit. And so I'm just going to go across and assign the actual. So I'm just going to go across. In fact, I may just go back out from there and assign the uniform. We'll just go ready to go, and then we'll go into details, and we'll then go across. The individual choice of melee is fine. That's the only thing I had assigned in here. So I'll just go through now the way of actually then going and selecting the different equipment. So what I need to have in through here is I want it to have a male shirt, because this is what I've been building. So a male shirt through there. Now the material I want to use is iron. So I'm going to have everything is going to be an iron male shirt. The headwear is going to be a helm, because that's what I've been building, and the material is going to be iron again. The leg wear is going to be greaves, and the material is going to be iron. So I've got all these things done. The handwear is going to be gauntlets, because they go up to the elbow, and that's going to be out of iron as well. The footwear is going to be high boots, made out of iron, and the shield is going to be an actual shield. I can go for a specific actual shield in the fortress, but I'm just going to go with shields and material iron. So just again an iron shield. There's a lot of different sorts of shields in through here. Where's iron? There we are. And the weapon is we've already got the individual choice of melee back in through that side. So I'm happy enough for that. I'm happy enough for them to just use whatever they want to use. I will actually just have them so that whatever they're good at, they can just make use of. And so this is actually now going to be, I'm going to now enter a new name in through here. So this is going to be the iron melee, and we'll confirm and save the uniform. And so that's now assigned to just Toulon. And so you can see there that now Toulon needs to go and pick up all of these different things. I'm just going to go and assign the uniform of iron melee to everyone. If we just go to details, now we want it to replace clothing, and we want it exact matches only, actually. So I'll just confirm that. Actually, that's I need to go back in and do the details again. Sorry. Iron melee. So this is replaces uniform, exact matches only, all of those different bits and pieces, confirm. And so I'm now going to have two different sorts of equipment. So if I now go and assign a uniform, I've now got two. So I want to get rid of the top one, and then just go and assign iron melee to the whole lot. So again, just making sure, and I can just go into any one of these, replaces clothing, exact matches only. That's all fine. And so that's the first thing we need to do, is just to go and get those established, so that they're going to now go and put all of this. Some of them have already got their flasks and also their backpacks, so we've already got some of those things. But the rest of them will then just go off and actually pick up something that they want, as long as it's made out of iron. The equipment out of iron, but any sort of weapon that they actually would prefer is going to be fine with us. And so this will be ultimately the start of our main sort of squad, our main battle squad in the fortress. So they're now, the Passionate Rocks are now getting ready. Now I'm going to start to have them train on a regular basis, so we're going to get that set up in this episode as well. But for that to happen, I need a place for them to go. Now what I want to do with them is I want them to be pretty close to the entrance of the fortress, not at the top, but down where the actual action is most likely going to take place, which is actually down in here. So there's a few things I could do. I could actually repurpose this area into their barracks, which is probably a good idea actually in hindsight. I hadn't really thought of that before, but that's something I could do, because that's actually right at the entrance. They're going to be right there ready to go. In fact, that is a good idea. I don't really have anywhere else. When I go down, I could make this area theirs. That's another option actually. That's actually not a bad option as well. Maybe I'll just do this. So we'll start to sort of create their barracks. Now we need a place for them to sleep and a place for them to train. And so I'm just going to go and get some of this stuff now dug out. I'm going to fill this one in. So I'll just go across. I no longer need these holes in the ground. These actually just look down into where we actually flooded this way back in the early episodes. So we'll just go back across now and just go and get constructions. We'll go to floors and keep it going. So we'll throw a floor in there. We'll just use some of the basic bolts, some basic blocks, just granite blocks will do. Yep, that's okay. Granite blocks. And again, I don't have to, like, I think what I'll do is I'll just have them sort of come off the top through here, and we'll just have like an area for them to sleep in. And so I'll end up with just a big area, I think, just a big room. And so I'm going to need to put sort of beds and things in there. I'll have the door close to where they can get access to into here. That will work. And then I'm just going to have a training room about the same size. In fact, they can just go straight through to there as well. Okay, so I'll dig this one out, and then when we come back, I'll then sort of go through the setup of what we need to put into that one, and then we can just change the regime or the routine for them to then go and do their own thing. So I'll come back, I'll just unpause, and we're going to go through to the next year as well. So different things may actually happen in here. But I'll leave it there, guys. So not for this episode, but I'll pause now until we've actually got all this stuff built. Actually, I thought I'd just show this straight away, actually. This is Lorben. It's a couple of days that have now moved on. She's in her underwear. Basically, if you ever look at her items, she has got the quiver, and she has now picked up the bolts. And so that did fix the problem for us. She's also got barley wine, and she's got an iron shield. So she just doesn't have any other clothing yet. But she will go through, and she, unfortunately, is also one of these ones that is... if we just go to the overview, she's got 2 children, one of which is a little baby, and that's what she's carrying around with her. So when we have a look at this one through here, she has got Dorum Nunishat, the Dwarven baby, and so Doran toe basement is being carried around. And that, unfortunately, is the problem. This is why you tend, particularly with melee dwarfs, you try not to actually have them where they can get their babies into trouble. Having said that, if the babies survive fights and things like that, they can become quite good fighters themselves. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword. Let's just go back up to the main part of the fortress and have a bit of a look and see how we're going. Actually, this is now looking pretty good. Let's just go and start to throw in some furniture. That'd be right. I've completely run out of usable beds and doors and things like this, so I can't really sort of do it just yet. I'll have to come back. I'll have to pause again and then come back once this is all done. So we're out of that. So I'm just putting in like weapon racks and armor stands in through here as well. Actually, we've got some diplomacy. What's this that they want us to do? Okay, so Baroness Lemel of Paint Daubs meets with the elven diplomat Elimi Vasimesica. Limi says, "You have disrespected the trees in this area, but this is what we have come to expect from your stunted kind. Further abuse cannot be tolerated. Let this be a warning to you." That's okay. We've had warnings before. They don't mean much to us, so we're just going to let them go. All right, so we're slowly getting here. I just don't have what I require just yet. Yep, still no more doors. What I can do is I can still set up what I need here. So I'm just going to go across and build, and then I'll just build what I need in there afterwards. So I'm just going to go across to a meeting area, actually no, barracks in through this side. Just going to go and drag that one into there, go accept, and so this is going to be then assigned. We've done this before in episode 50, but we're just going to assign this one to the Passionate Rocks. This is where they're going to sleep, and they're going to also then store their weapons and armor, and they can also store other ammunition or any other equipment that they want there as well. I should just pause while we do this one. So the Passionate Rocks are going to be at this particular location. That's going to be their main living area. This is going to be where they're going to go and train. And so we just go back and do another barracks. And for a melee group, this is the way we do it. We don't use an archery target. I showed you how to build an archery target before. So we're just going to go and accept. Is this barracks? Yep, that's fine. We do have an overlapping barracks, but that's all right. In this case, we're just going to go again and just go to the Passionate Rocks. This is where they're going to train. So you can have them all in the one if you wanted to, but I'll just do it this way, just so that they end up and going in. They'll look at discussions, they'll talk about strategy, and they'll get better and better and better at fighting by doing this. That's part of the equation. The next thing we need to then do is give them a regime of training. And so if we go back to the Passionate Rocks and then go to their schedule, we can sort of see there that we've got like staggered training. So this is actually, if we go and click on this one through here, they're going to train. Part of them, some of them are going to train, some of them are not going to train. I could actually go and add one in there that is, I could clear this one completely and then go and start again. Like I can actually go through, I don't know if I can add or edit this one in through here, the staggered training. That's just the name, that's not going to do it. If we go across to view the monthly schedule, yeah, so it's going to be 3 months of training, 3 months off. 3 months of training, 3 months off is the way it's going to then work. And so this way they will actually just train, like they've either got staggered training or constant training. Now I think I might actually even go for constant training actually and do that one through there, just that they're always getting better and better. And so when we look at the monthly schedule there, they're just going to, the whole squad will now just train. And that's, like that takes 10 out of our population, which is a fair amount. Yeah, I think I'll still do that way. I think I'll still do it. That way they're going to get their skill levels high fairly quickly, just by getting around and talking. Now, there's other ways of getting the skill levels even higher, but let's just go with the basics. This is really what we're going to be doing through here. And so ultimately they'll sort of come in and have discussions and all sorts of other different bits and pieces that will sort of then go on. If we have a look at Lomal again, now I'm guessing that Lomal will be, if we have a look at the actual people in the bolts through here, we're starting to see them that they're actually, is it Lorbum? Must be Lorbum. Let's have a look at Lorbum. Let's go back to the squads, but she's now starting to get her equipment together. So we have a look at Lorbum. Where are you? Yeah, more and more of the military dwarves are now starting to sort of she's got no job there at the moment, so she's probably just hovering around. If we just go across and see what she's now got, so she is still got her baby back in this side. If we have a look at the items now, so she's now got an iron mail shirt. She's got the yak leather quiver with the 25 bolts. We've got barley wine. We've got iron shield back in through there, the iron crossbow. She's basically ready for action already. Now I'm guessing that all the others will be the same category. Let's just go to another one. Who else have we got? Let's go to Zephon Dumat. That'll be an easy one to find. If we just do it by name, it'll be the last one in the list. No, not quite. Actually, a fair way off. Items. Again, got the steel bolts in this case, 25 of them. And so now they're equipped and ready for action. They'll start to also now do their training as well, which will actually be quite beneficial. And so they're now still going off just doing their own thing, like but they're ready for action. And there should also be in the bottom of the fortress, we should have 2 of them coming back down to do the, actually it doesn't look like anyone actually is. Is anyone doing the actual job here of going through? Doesn't look like they are. They should be. They may be on their way. I'm not seeing it there about going down and actually sort of walking the beat, which is what we had set up before. I'm assuming that they still will be. There's still a lot of stuff going on, like this peasant, for example, is going through. Who's this one? This is DasTactic, who is actually going also to still go and pick up equipment. This one is one of our Marks dwarves. Again, it's got the iron bolts. This one here has got an iron shield, an iron warhammer, and iron high boots. And so slowly sort of getting the equipment back together, and so they'll be an effective little fighting force fairly soon, I would think. Anyway, we'll just go back to the squads. So everything is now starting to sort of pick up, which is what we want. And once we get them established and fully trained, like back up near the entrance in here, I'll then be able to use them fairly effectively. Anyway, I'll pause this again and just see if we can actually watch them when they've all finished picking up their equipment. They should start to come up and start to do some training. Yeah, here they come. So they're now actually, if we have a look and see what they're actually up to, they're going to be just training in here. Now, I might also put some food along here as well, just so they can sort of go and do it. And we have a look here, actually go off to get provisions, waiting for dodging demonstration. So they're going to start to now learn some of the skills. So there's going to be a dodging demonstration coming in fairly soon, individual combat drill. So they're just training away. Yep, that's outside. We don't need to worry about that one. So that's the training that's now sort of started with these guys. So they're now ready. Like they're getting ready for action. Now, what have you got? It does not look like a good weapon. A bronze short sword. That'll be okay. It's not the best, but it's what they've got. Anyway, guys, that is actually now they're starting to do their training in through this side. We'll actually end up. I will make sure that I deck this out properly. I will actually close this episode now, and yeah. So it's not the whole squad, but there's a fair few of them coming in to sort of check out what's going on. So they're all learning. Now, are they all actually organising dodging demonstrations? This is FECOD. We can see there that the commander is now getting decked out as well. Individual combat drills. Yep, drilling and resting. Waiting for fighting demonstrations. Leading the axe demonstration. Watching the axe demonstration back in through here. It's really cool the way it works. But anyway, they're going to start to skill up fairly quickly, actually, by doing this. So it's all very, very good the way it sort of does work. Here we go. It's got another one coming back in. Who's this one? This is just one of the recruits going to the dodging demonstration. And then we've got the militia captain storing an item in the bin. Okay, this is a different one. Here we go. We've got more of them now coming in. Yeah, watching the fighting demonstration. And so just by watching, if they're good students, they'll learn quickly, but they will all learn over time. And so when we sort of start to look at their skill set, we'll see like a dabbling axe dwarf, dabbling discipline, dabbling fighter, dabbling dodger, because they're now watching the skill sets sort of coming back through. And so we now start to sort of get a bit more information about what they actually do. This one hasn't got any real sort of skills at this point in time. What about you? Yeah, dabbling axe dwarf. Competent swords dwarf, but rusty, and so this will then get that rust level off, and so the experience has gone backwards. This will then sort of push it back up into them being good at things again, and so they'll slowly sort of pick up their skill sets over time by doing the training, and then we can start to then send them out into combat situations, because what we do want to do is we want to go outside to get the wood, so we do need to actually use them effectively, particularly out in here, just so we can sort of send out groups so that they can at least protect any group that's out here. Now, they can't fight everything, but they can do a good job. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next time. I'm glad that we actually managed to fix the bolts in this one. That was important. It was driving me nuts. I was thinking, why aren't they picking up the bolts? But that's what it was. It was actually a bit of a bug in the game. So hopefully it's fixed by the time you watch this, but if it's not, at least you know to start the squad with a pre-existing ranged equipment. Don't use a melee equipment to then do it. So anyway, that's what we've got that's the big lesson learnt in this episode. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.